Bless up, my viewers and my sub. Welcome back. So right now, my viewers and my sub. See a little thing in a article. Dear Pastor, I just want to put it across my viewers and my sub them. So right now, my viewers and my sub, let us get into it. This is really a thing where right now are trending in Jamaica. So this female now, my viewers and my sub, claim to say the father of our child is not her real daddy. So let us read what the article says. My child's father is not her real daddy. I am writing to you as a confessed young mother who doesn't know what to do. Here is the story. I got pregnant by a man with whom I had a relationship. Since the night that I told him I was pregnant, I have not seen him again. My daughter is now 2 years old. He migrated a couple of days before my daughter was born, but he was in Jamaica for the 9 months of my pregnancy. He never stopped by, not even one time to see me. I had a male friend who I liked and who also liked me, and I told him about my pregnancy. This guy and I did not pressure each other because I was already in a relationship with a guy who got me pregnant. My male friend understood that, but when I found out that I was pregnant and the father of my child didn't want anything to do with me, I told him I wanted to have an abortion. He discouraged me. He said he would stand by me and accept the responsibilities of being the father of my child. He didn't lie about that. He kept his promise. He is the only father my child knows. For the moment I learned I was pregnant until now, my daughter calls him daddy, and nobody knows that he is not the biological father because he had been there since day one. He is a good father to her, although we are no longer today. He still takes care of her. Her biological father never calls or talks to her. He never asks how she is doing. Either, however, he sends me 10,000 occasionally. The man who takes care of her want me to put his name on her birth certificate. She has her biological father's last name, but his name is not on the birth certificate because he did not sign the documents. He just in the system. I honestly don't know what to do. The man she knows as her dad doesn't have any child. Should I put his name on her birth certificate? I am asking for your advice. Please, I am desperately awaiting for your response. Some of you as a sub. This is just a little article where me kind of run across in a dear pastor. Some of you as a sub want to not tell me your honest opinion. What you think this female for really do? Because for telling you the truth, my honest opinion is that she should have never put the man who really get her pregnant last name for the baby. Shouldn't even use that man last name. Because furthermore, if him name not depend no birth certificate or not written documents, he cannot be the father of the child. And this a young brother here will decide say him a go take up this a heavy ship here and put on feme head. Him should be the one for feme last name use because if you be honest, I him the little girl know. Some of you as I'm some want to leave on honest opinion down below because me alone can't take on that journey. I want to know if you take on it too with me. I make me know what you think. And really and truly, what you think this a female have to do. Because it's a thing where I have happened in a Jamaica, it's like it's not a yesterday or today situation this. A years them thing are going in our world. And it's not just Jamaica alone where some man just get some female pregnant and then just decide say them a go cut and now I have nothing to do with the female. But my viewers and myself, leave your honest thoughts and your comments down below and make we know over here what you think. Because I feel like saying in my own words, this a brother here who push out all of the efforts. Fee him last name should have been pan the surfy ticket for the little girl. But anyway, my viewers and my sub, continue to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in your comments down below. Until another upload, we say walk good, live good, keep safe. Because out there is a troubled place. So bless up my viewers and my sub. Until another upload, walk good.
When you love two things as much as I do love farming, it's difficult to choose. But I could not see myself functioning without either of them. On my farm in Ebony Park, Breadnut Valley, it is part of an agro park which is located in the area, the Ebony Park Agro Park.
Who is Dr. Watson?
Well, Dr. Watson, I like to say, is a country boy, born in West Kingston in 1966. Grew up in the hills of Clarendon. My family settled in a district named Orange River. I'm married to a country girl from Mount Moriah and St. Anne's. We have 2 kids. I went to Clarendon College. I'm a member of the class of 83, a very cordial group and a very productive group, a very patriotic group. I love sports. I love cricket. I still play my cricket. I play a lot of masters cricket around. I'm as much known as a doctor as known as a cricketer. I played Deadly Cup for 5 years.
You won? Any?
We never won. I thought 1 year we would have won Deadly Cup, but we were kicked out of the competition for no good reason. And I'm sure that year we would have beaten Stets, our long-time rival. I played schoolboy cricket for 5 years, and the only schoolboy team that ever beat us, including teams from the urban area, was St. Elizabeth Technical High School. And those guys were still very good friends. With our rivalry in Masters cricket lives on. I went to the National Youth Trials in 1985. I wasn't successful in making the national team at the time. And that might have caused me to decide to go and study, because I realized then that you could not play sports and be successful playing sports in Jamaica as an unemployed person, because our sports, cricket at least, wasn't a professional game at the time. You could not make a living from playing the game, so you would seek other options. So I went away, I studied medicine in Cuba, and came back, resumed playing cricket, and if it wasn't for an injury, then I thought I would have made the national team. I'm a very outdoors person, so it was only natural for me to have a significant outdoor activity. And what better outdoor activity to have other than farming? In farming, other than just enjoying being in the outdoors, it is a source of income. So it serves 2 purposes. Firstly, I got the land to lease from the Agro Invest Corporation, which is a government agency. I've been farming in Ebony Park for upwards of 8 years, although I used to farm in other areas before. We get the land to lease and we are supplied with irrigation water through the National Irrigation Commission, because going into farming without water makes no sense. You have to have irrigation water. It can be challenging in terms of the NIC meeting the demands of the farm, but for most part we are able to survive on the water that we do get. My philosophy of farming is mixed agriculture. So I mix perennial crops, tree crops like avocado, coconut, ackee, with catch crops like mainly hot pepper, West Indian red hot pepper, and scallion. I also do cassava, and I will plant any crop I have a market for, because for most crops it's just about learning the correct husbandry and doing what needs to be done.
Okay, you said as long as you have a market, but you do your practice. So when do you get time to look market? Because I think your doctor take up most of your time, right?
Yeah. I'm a member of the Ebony Park Agro Cooperative 2016 Limited. We do most of our marketing through Ebony Park Agro Cooperative as a group. It makes it easier because then we can package our stuff and deliver them as a group. And that make a more efficient use of time. Because as you rightly said, I would not have the time to do all the deliveries. Generally, especially in the summer months when the mornings are quite long, I would be on my farm from like 5 o'clock. I might be spend 2.5 hours, and then I get home, get ready, and rush to work by 8. And so when in the shorter months now, sometimes I have to go to the gym because it's not possible to come to the farm to do my early morning exercise because I do work on my farm. There are some crops that I planted earlier which I would not plant them again even though I have them. Like June plum because they are not readily marketable. Breadfruit, it's not readily marketable. And the markets are very seasonal and it's a challenge to market crops like those. So I've progressively shifted from those crops into coconut, which is a much more marketable crop. I got into coconut production because of a friend who had a coconut water factory, and he had to go to Portland and the hills of St. Catherine to get coconut for his factory. So he encouraged me and got me the first set of coconut suckers to get into coconut production. Well, jelly, because jelly is the main thing I sell. I do sell some dry coconut, but mainly jelly. He buys from me at regular intervals. And we have other market like the little jelly man on the corner. I do a lot of sales to those persons as well.
How being a medical doctor assists you as a farmer?
Well, being a medical doctor, you know, we learn a lot of biochemistry and mechanism of how things work. You become very aware of how things work and what they do. You know that, for example, I try to use bioselective substances. That's a concept that you would have learned a lot in medicine, where, for example, a spray is not just a spray. A weedicide is not just a weedicide. If, for example, you have a field that is full of grass, and your plant, the plant you're having is not related to the grass family, knowing that there's a bioselective weedicide that could get rid of the grass and possibly cost you less than doing it using manual labor like people weeding can be very helpful. So being trained as a doctor, I think, puts me in a position where I can actually be more scientific in my approach to farming, because the animal, which we are a part of, is a living being. A plant is just another living being. So a lot of the concepts that would apply to taking care of a human can be applied to taking care of plants.
You have been in this for 8 years. How long have you been a doctor?
24. Okay,
what lessons have you learned along the way?
With the COVID challenge and the need for social distancing, some of my colleagues has encouraged me to host meetings on my farm. And it has been going very well so far, and we have had 2 meetings and we'll be having a next one because of popular demand. Because it's an outdoor area, so in future, as I remember when I applied for the land to lease from AIC, you know, part of my plan was to include some amount of entertainment on the farm. So I plan to, might be in the not too distant future, have a few cabanas for rent and things like that, and might be able to host events like weddings and so on in the future, because it was always part of my plan. So when they asked me for this, I said, this is a training opportunity for me.
If I should ask you which of the 2 professions you love the most, what should you say and why?
Well, when you love 2 things as much as I do love farming, it's difficult to choose. But I could not see myself functioning without either of them.
From what you have been doing over the 8 years, any insight, any advice?
Well, when you get into farming, you have to be open to learn. I read as much about farming as I do about medicine in order to keep up to date. There are always new substances coming, new pesticides coming in that you have to learn about. Just like in medicine, there are always new drugs, things like that. So it is important for you to come with an open mind. Make sure that you are prepared to work. Make sure that you are prepared to ride it out when things are tough, because in agriculture and farming, the difficult times are many. Whenever you hear of a trough or a tropical depression or a hurricane coming, you know that is a challenge. That's a challenging time, because quite often after those natural events, even more so than a drought, it's like you have to start over again. And you could have a field, and you're counting the profits from that, potential profits from that field. And within 24 hours of a good shower, you would have lost. And you have to pick up the pieces and start again. So two things you have to be prepared to rally back after the setbacks, and you have to be prepared to read and to learn and to make use of traditional information from people who generally farm in the area you start in your farm. You have to make certain you establish a good relationship with your extension officer, that is your RADA extension officer. And remember one thing, treat your workers well. If you have loyal workers, you might be halfway into having a successful farm. Without loyal workers, you will never have a successful farm.